Bitcoin extending declines, now trading near $39,000. The optimism over spot Bitcoin ETFs evaporating, and the declines are also hitting crypto-related stocks, including Coinbase. Joining us now is Owen Lau, Oppenheimer Executive Director and Senior Analyst. Owen, it's good to see you. So some of your colleagues, Owen, making headlines today. They're getting, not getting kind of pessimistic, skeptical on Coinbase, and their worry here is they're watching Bitcoin. They watch these Bitcoin spot ETFs, Owen, maybe a kind of sell the news event. Do you share that caution here, Owen?
I think first of all, thank you for having me. I think in the near term, the stock could be volatile because think about that. If you go back to Coinbase, the stock was up 400% in 2023. And Bitcoin price was also up a lot. And there was a sell the news event happening after the spot Bitcoin ETF approval. I do think that in the near term, there may be some downward momentum on Bitcoin until the next catalyst. So I would say near term, you probably see the stock to be pretty volatile for Coinbase.
Owen, is the Bitcoin price the most important factor for Coinbase's stock price?
I would say this is one of the most important factors for now. The other important factor is they are going on a lawsuit with the SEC. So there is still a regulatory overhang. We still don't have a clear regulations in the United States right now, even though there are more clarity outside of the United States. So I would call Bitcoin price, the SEC lawsuit, and also I think the overall health of the industry are all important factors for Coinbase.
And Owen, I'm also interested when you talk about Coinbase, the business, and you look at non-trading revenue, Owen, what percentages of that is now the total, and how do you see that sort of evolving from here? Because obviously they put a lot of emphasis and priority in diversifying the business, right?
Yeah, at the end of the third quarter, I would say around 50%, half of the revenue came from non-trading. And those revenue came from interest income and also blockchain income, which is the revenue they got from the USDC stablecoin. They have a revenue sharing agreement with Circle. And then the other smaller revenue items are the staking revenue and also custody revenue. So you're right that Coinbase has been making a lot of effort to diversify away from just trading. So that's why Bitcoin is important, but not I wouldn't say it's like only one Bitcoin, like only Bitcoin is the predominant factor.
And then when we look at the Bitcoin ETFs as well, right, there was a lot of debate sort of ahead of time as to whether this was going to be a boon or neutral or even negative for Coinbase. So now that the introduction has come and gone, what do you think?
So when we look at the fourth quarter trading volume, so when we bake in a lot of the optimism of Bitcoin, spot Bitcoin ETF approval, there are two key things that I think not many people talk about. Number one, Bitcoin price went up a lot. And Coinbase generate revenue based part on the price of Bitcoin. The second point was about higher trading volume. So what that means is this Bitcoin ETF can bring in new investors. It support higher prices. It also support higher trading volume. That actually benefit Coinbase longer term. So to me, I think it's a net positive for Coinbase longer term because it brings in new investors.
What about the risk, Owen, to the extent maybe you even see it as a risk, that investors now say, you know what, I want exposure to Bitcoin, and I'm going to do it through a spot Bitcoin ETF where, there's been kind of this race to the bottom on fees anyway. I'll go that way rather than buy Bitcoin on the Coinbase platform.
That's a very good point. So we expect some investors, in particular some institutional investors, will move away from Coinbase to ETF because of the lower fee you just talked about. But think about that, spot Bitcoin ETF, it's just one use case, which is the speculation use case. If you trade on Coinbase, there are 240 other tokens that you can engage with, not just Bitcoin. And also, you can also engage with other use cases like DeFi and Web3. So to me, what I believe a vast majority of customers would stay with Coinbase because of the access to Web3 and DeFi and some other use cases.
Owen, good to catch up with you. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.